Hello, my name is Adam Everson and I'm here today to talk to you about my EDU 709 creating project, which I focused on the flipped classroom. Ever since I began the Education Technology Master's program here at Central, my ideas have been to change the way history is taught. Traditionally, history is taught in the lecture exam format, and there is very limited technology used throughout, with the exception of PowerPoints and some video and images, but for the most part, it is the lecture and note-taking, and I would like to remove that from the classroom. I want to create an environment in the class based around discussion and analysis, and the way that I felt that I could do that best was to flip the classroom, to create video that the students can watch at home on lectures that include quizzes built in. They also include Storify or any other storytelling application that allows you to give a study guide, essentially, if you will, that would be focused on what the classroom discussion would be based around for the class meeting times. The students would be eventually required to take these quizzes and participate in the discussion. Next, I'll discuss the technology that I used to create my project. To start, I used Google Sites. I wanted to maintain a set spot that had all of my projects in one area to keep it organized, and if I was using this as a classroom, that way I would be able to show one spot for the students to go to, and they would be able to access all of their necessary assignments throughout the class. Couple of the screenshots that I have here for you. The first one on the left, that's just the front page. As you can see, there's 3 of them set up. I created one specifically for the creating project and one that was for the classroom. They're combined in the project, but they're also separate just so that I could demonstrate where each one was. As you can see here, I have some hyperlinks. This is the history classroom, a closer up view for you so you don't have to squint to look at the screenshot. And at the beginning, as you can see, I have a video quiz. This is one of the things that I wanted to create so that students could watch videos when they go home, and that would be their lecture. Included in this video, there are questions that they can take on a quiz, which would be graded to ensure that they are watching the videos. The next link here you can see is the research project. I put it right directly into the classroom shell, and as you can see, there's tabs here, which I'll go through that later. As I mentioned, the Storify, which would be like a study guide. In this case, it's based around the Battle of Gettysburg. I have information directly from websites that they're linked to. There are videos, there are photographs of the battlefield today that are posted from Instagram, as you can see, children climbing around the rocks and cannons and whatnot. The reason I did this is to give the students an understanding of what it looks like today, because it's one thing to image a battlefield in the 19th century. You see photos of it in history books and videos online and documentaries. This way they have an understanding of what it is today, and that it is preserved in a way that makes them understand that this is an important piece of American history. I've also included in the classroom shell some videos. In this case, just one. It is a digital story from YouTube that I found. This is be part of the other project that I have created, the research project portion. I'll get further into that as we go along. As I said, I'll get further into that. And here's the research video project. Now, the class is set up so that each student would be required to create a digital story. And in this case, I chose the Civil War, and specifically whether they choose a general in the war, a campaign in the war, or a specific battle, whatever it might be, they would create a digital story discussing that, and I will continue to discuss this further throughout the process of this video. As I mentioned, the video quizzes that were part of the at-home portion of the class. As you can see here, I used Zaption, and since Zaption is no longer going to be a usable site after the end of September, it's migrating to PlayPosit. I wanted to show you that as well, but for the instance of this project, I had already had a Zaption quiz that I included in it. As you can see on the left, these are just the questions that I had input into the quiz, along with the times and when they entered into the quiz, and the correct answers and whatnot. As you can see from the top screenshot, that is the video quiz that I have on my classroom. But down here, this is in the bottom right, this is a screenshot of PlayPosit, and I have a link there so that you can see this is the website and how you create the videos. And this is the video of a ranger at the Battlefield Park, National Park, giving a tour of the battlefield and a day-by-day progression of what happened on specifically the first day of the battle. And as you can see, I entered a question at the 4-minute 3-second mark, and that is how this would work. Now, Zaption would not allow you, would allow you, excuse me, to go back and change your answer to the quiz, which was a major issue, especially for students. If they get it wrong, they can change their answer. But PlayPosit does not allow you to do that. So once you've answered the question, it is unchangeable. As I mentioned, I use Storify to discuss a technology, or uses a technology that the students were able to use as a study guide at home. It brought up the main points that would be discussed in the classroom discussion portion of the class, and that way they were able to have a better understanding of the whole story before they got to the class, so they could ask questions, and they had a pre-training, if you will, which would be one of the design principles that I'll mention later. That was the big part of this, and I have a link here that I can show you. And this is my Storify in the Battle of Gettysburg. I showed it to you briefly before, but this is from the main website, and it gives you a better understanding of how it looks and the feel of it, as opposed to just a PDF like the other one was. As you can see, that there's a video input here from the movie of the Battle of Gettysburg, which is an excellent teaching tool because it stays true to the actual events that took place during the battle. As you can see, I mentioned the video, or the pictures here from the battle, and as you continue down, it continues, and there's detailed maps of the battle alignments and Pickett's charge, video discussion of that, things of that nature. That way the student has a better understanding of the battle, and when they come to class they have that pre-training and they're able to discuss it, and they're able to talk about key points to the battle and discuss it with the professor. And that way they create that discussion atmosphere, and they can analyze amongst peers and amongst their instructors. The next part of that is the bubble map, the mind map that I had created for the students as an example. It's part of the creating project. The reason I did this is because I wanted students to be able to map out what they wanted to discuss and what they wanted to present in their digital story. And I felt the best way to do that is to create a mind map, as we did for this class earlier in the semester. I thought that technology would be good for a research project such as this one. As you can see here, I used the causes of the Civil War, which is one of the topics that the student could choose to create their digital story on. And I branched it out very simply here just to give you an idea of how easily that you could take several topics and expand on them very rapidly to create a rather interesting and a very detailed story. Now for the lesson portion of it. I decided that I wanted to create a rather encompassing research project, something that would require students to have first-hand use of primary and secondary sources. Now, as an historian, those are very crucial to know the difference. As you know, primary sources were sources from the day that took place when the event happened, and secondary are those written about it after the fact. As a student of history, you're required to view these sources and to analyze them and to understand where the perspective is and why they were written. And as you can see, I have some screenshots of the project and a link here that'll bring me right to my project. And as I said before, I wanted students to create a digital story. The assignment portion of it is to select a topic, and as you can see, I have the mind map here as an example within the project, so students have that understanding of how they need to set this up. Now, this is a portion of the project that would need to be submitted ahead of time so that the professor could see what direction that they were moving with the project, and that way they were on task, and if they needed any corrections, they were able to get that well ahead of time so that the project portion of the class was submitted in a timely and proper fashion. As we continue along, the process portion of the project is here. I have it all laid out. Once you've submitted your topic and you've chosen and explained why you want to submit that topic to the professor, it'll go step by step on what you need to do. And then it gives you a specifics on the length of the video, the amount of sources you need, all the technical details that are required when creating a rather large project. Now, for the video portion of it, I decided to use Camtasia. Now, in the actual project, I mentioned Animoto, But I found that I like Camtasia better, and unfortunately I didn't submit that earlier. But now that I have access to Camtasia, which I'm using now to create this video for everyone, I like the idea of having this hands-on technology where you can create and you can manipulate and make videos and record over the top of that, and it creates a more dynamic presentation as opposed to just an oral and PowerPoint presentation that traditionally you see in the history classroom. In research projects that I've done in the past, that's how it was all focused around. I created a speech and I had a PowerPoint with some key points on it, and that was really it. And I felt that creating something like this video would allow students to work on their not only analytical abilities, their research abilities, their creative abilities, learning how to design aesthetically appealing video, and the technology use in general. In the 21st century office, in the job market in general, it is all focused around technology. The technology that we use today is growing exponentially daily, and I feel that the best way for students to get ahead and to be able to move into that job market more effectively is to have these skills developed starting from the time that they can use technology, working all the way through their college career. Now, when I was designing all these projects and I was designing the use of these technologies, I had to stay true to the multimedia design principles. Now, many of you have taken the in multimedia design class, and these are the key component of designing multimedia information. Now, I tried to successfully implement each one of these into my projects, and the reason for that is because with the evidence and the research shown adding these principles into your project, the student will learn better. The student will grasp the concepts better, they will understand them better, they will be able to analyze them better. Having multimedia involved in your projects are the way of the future. For education, and specifically in the history classroom, I feel that designing projects in this matter will not only get children and students more interested in history as an overall subject, but they will have a greater respect for history. And I feel that that is something that is very important to me and to my fellow historians out there, that history needs to be respected and history needs to be presented in a way that is easy for everyone to grasp. These concepts sometimes are very challenging to analyze, and I feel the best way to get that across is to change the way it's taught, as opposed to teaching it just a professor at the front of the classroom and lecturing to a student and taking notes. Having a multimedia designed video, multimedia design presentation on whatever the subject may be can only serve to enhance the learning experience and to help the student gain a better understanding of the material being presented.